Hey there, folks. We are back with some Railroads Online. Of course, now without the exclamation point on the end of the online portion, as it started in 2021. But there's some big news. Not only is it coming to PlayStation and Xbox along with PC, Unreal Engine 5 upgrade, just a mere few weeks away from year 3, the third year. I was going to say season, but that's not right because that'd be a lot more than 3 seasons. But anyway, here we are. I haven't looked at this game in quite some time. I think it was October of last year, so October 2023. There's been a few other games taking priority for me that I've been having a lot of fun with and enjoying quite a bit. But I haven't touched this in a while. I saw the news on Steam and going across the wire of all the train sim forums and discords, and I thought, what the hell? Let's fire it up and take a look, and that I did. Now, for those that may not know what Railroads Online is, it is a narrow gauge Steam era train simulator released in 2021, and now, of course, almost on its third year, finally leaving early access, and as I mentioned, coming to consoles. Now, this is developed by Stefan Kellenberger, hope I pronounced that right, and published by Astragon Entertainment, a fairly large publisher for smaller games and simulation games and things of that nature. Well, they're not small, but they're not EA either. The first true modern train sim to feature multiplayer as well was Railroads Online, so that was a big deal in itself. Now, Railroads Online came shortly after their first release, which was American Railroads, which was essentially the same game with a different name, and it was on the Unity engine, whereas Railroads Online, they switched it over to the Unreal engine. And American Railroads released in 2018, and it was very limited, but it was just a new idea. Something totally new and refreshing in the train sim genre, which is very niche, obviously. And now we've made it all the way to this. And not only that, but Railroads Online has expanded, well, trifold almost since its initial inception. But Railroads Online lets you build your railroad from basically nothing, as small or large as you want, from laying track, gradients, switch stands, bridges, and industries. And a whole lot more. I mean, you can practically edit maps now. I mean, you can put stuff all over the place. It's almost like Train Sim Classic or Trains in that regard. Now, this game came a long way from its humble beginnings, of course, drawing from player feedback primarily for a more thorough and enjoyable experience, and that it has done. Playing it just a few hours since I played it in October, between the last couple days and now, it's definitely changed, and definitely changed for the better. It was a bit cumbersome initially, and if you're doing things solo, whereas the game is primarily multiplayer, it made things a little tougher, whereas now that is, of course, not the case. So in its inception, Railroads Online only had a few locomotives and cars and one map. Almost 3 years on, it now includes over 20 locomotives, including a very Chad rotary snowplow, as well as 20 plus freight cars, coaches, mail express cars. You've got a pump car, a push car, a hand car, all kinds of stuff, and 3 maps now instead of just the one. And also, if track laying isn't your jam, because it's not mine, I just suck at it, and I'll be honest. I've tried over and over, and while the developer has updated the spline and track laying tools to make it much easier, if you don't even want to deal with that, you can just simply download maps now that are pre-laid, have locomotives, have rolling stock, and just get in and start playing. Now, when Railroads Online first came out, you could not do that. You had to build your entire railroad, and it was tough. Just building from the depot, to the lumber yard, I remember took me days, just to finally get it right. And that was just one industry. Now, if you don't want to worry about that, you simply do not have to. Right. So I looked at Railroads Online last October 2023. I feel like that was ages ago now. So now, since then, we'll go over some of the things that have been updated since then, just in case you have not been on the ball, such as I, are just keeping tabs of what's been going on with Railroads Online. So now there's pre-placed industries on certain maps, specifically the Lake Valley map. So this began in November of 2023. They added an in-game wiki, so it's got every single thing you'll need to know as far as the freight cars, the industry chain. It's all there for you to look at. No trying to hunt things down and figure them out by trial and error. You simply hit the H key as in help, and it's got everything you need to know. There's also an in-game tutorial now to get you started. There was a new wheat farm industry added, which seed comes from the freight depot. You take that to the farm. The farm produces straw and grain, in which you sell or take on to the cattle industry, which we'll get to in a moment. They also added dynamic weather. Now, that was all November 2023. In December of last year, they upgraded to Unreal Engine 5.3, and it did look a lot better from the pictures that I saw, although I didn't play it. Water wells were added for industry chains, such as the wheat farm and cattle. They then added the cattle farm and cattle farm chain or industry, added meat packing from harvesting said cattle that gave their lives. They added a 242 locomotive, added water tank cars, a ventilated boxcar, new paints to existing stock, and they updated the cutoff. So the locomotives initially, when the game came out, it was just forwards and reverse. You know, there was no kind of in between where you got to think of the cutoff or the reverser in a steam locomotive almost like a stick shift in a car, right? You've got like a high gear and a low gear and all that. You got to kind of think of it like that. Whereas initially it didn't have that. It was just fully forward, you know, throttle wide open. It didn't matter. Now it does matter. It's more akin to the realistic operation of a steam locomotive. So they added that, and that was kind of a big deal in December of 2023. And they also added the options between DX11 and DX12. And a lot of this footage is from DX12, by the way. So that's available as well. So in February, which was the next big update, so February 2024, they added the new Aurora Falls map, which is very nice looking. It's kind of loosely based on an Alaskan or almost Yukon theme, I guess you could say. And the map is gorgeous. It's got kind of a normal, almost valley and lake part. And then there's a portion of high elevation on the side of the map that's just up in the mountains, and it's got snow, and it's just, it's very, very visually pleasing. So now there's 3 maps total. They added sound reverb to that map, so going between the valleys and the mountain passes and things like that, so you actually hear reverb, so it's more akin to some realism, which is nice. They also added another locomotive in the form of the DNRG 282 Class 125 Big Chonker. Very nice locomotive. We'll be seeing it here in just a moment. And new gondola, side dump, ore car, and baggage car, as well as a new gold mine industry, gold dredging, stamp mill, and smelter. So even industries, they have expanded that almost trifold. There weren't too many initially when the game released, but now there's just, you know, you've got your pick. So the next big update after February was in March of 2024, where they added the DNRGW Class 47 10-wheeler. They added the very large and in charge rotary snowplow, which is just cool to see because it's really not in any other train sim game that I can think of. I mean, it's just, it's a very nice unit, and that kind of feels weird to say. They added a 4-stall roundhouse and larger turntable, added knuckle coupling over the link chain and pin. You know, BS, I get it. It's old school. That's how things were done, but it was also kind of a pain in the butt when this game initially came out and trying to get cars linked up. Now it's just your standard kind of knuckle coupling. So you smack into a car, you couple up, you're good to go. You take off. You uncouple, you just flip her open, and you go. Same deal. You don't have to worry about the link and pin and all that. Though if you want to kind of stay in that theme and era, you have every right to do so within the options. You simply untick the option for the knuckle coupling, and you're back to, you know, 1860 or whatever, whenever that started, the old school style coupling. So that was a big deal, as well as a new survey tool, which I was kind of screaming for from day one when this game came out and I was trying to lay track on my own. You've now got a survey tool, so you can simply survey out your track. Trying to go up over a mountain pass or something like that, you can see gradients and all kinds of stuff, so that's a nice tool to have as well. So after that was May in 2024 this year, of course, which was the addition of pre-laid maps. So that's nice to have. This that I'm playing on is one of those, as a matter of fact. New interactive map as well, which is a very huge update to the game. So before it was very limited. You couldn't see where you were. You just saw a basic 2D render of the map. Now you can see where you're at on the map. You can see your locomotives. You can see your rolling stock. You can see industries. You can even flip switches now via the map. So if you're playing solo and, things are getting kind of tough and hairy and you got trains moving and whatnot and you need to kind of do stuff on the fly, that can now be done, which was a very, very big deal. So it displays everything now on this new map, which is very, very cool. They also added a mini map to the bottom right hand screen so you can kind of keep yourself orientated at all times. And they also did the major spline update and overhaul, and that is for your track laying if you want to go that route. A little bit later on, of course, July 2024. Here we go. Now, I think this is currently in beta. I am currently playing on the beta branch, and it's very stable as far as I can tell so far. They added new loading screens so you can see different kinds of scenes for the maps and things like that, which is very nice. They have a very nice kind of ambience to them. New player permissions in multiplayer, so now somebody can't hop in your multiplayer game that you may be hosting and just run amok, going apeshit crazy, doing all kinds of stuff. You can give them permissions, what they can and cannot do, which was kind of lacking from day one, but it's in here now. So all caught up from the seasons, we have the near future, which is coming out of early access, and it's going to be releasing for consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. That's kind of a big deal. So the timeline for that, they have it slated in fall of this year, so 2024, and that's a big deal because as of right now, Big Daddy Train Sim is Dovetail Games, and I wouldn't call that much of a train sim if I'm honest. It's just very thin, and it kind of always has been. Hell, you can see from the mere fact that there are now 4 train sim worlds by Dovetail Games, instead of just expanding on the one, and over probably 100 pieces of DLC now, which are all full price at like $40 each, just about. They were the only game in town. They ran train sim on consoles, and now this will be an option. So hopefully that will expand the market for consoles and PC even further, which is a very, very nice thing. You can't let Dovetail Games run the thing. Mind you, it's in a different era with different rolling stock and things of that nature, but it's still a train simulator or a railroad-based game, which is very, very cool. So they're also going to give away an early access player gift. So basically anybody that has the game now and has purchased Railroads Online before it leaves early access on PC is going to get what they call the Pioneer Pack. It's going to come with new assets for building, editing your maps, new locomotive, new paint for other locomotives. And again, it's going to be free to everybody who purchased it before it leaves EA. After that, it will be offered as a separate DLC. Now, PC is going to up its price to $35 when it's out of EA, and in consoles is going to be $40. Yes, I hear you. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading stuff out here. I have nothing to do with the pricing, so talk to the dev and the publisher. But yeah, that should be very soon. And the biggest one of all is probably the upgrade to Unreal Engine 5. The new hot-ish Unreal Engine 5. So it'll be interesting to see what this game looks like with that, because over the recent upgrades to the Unreal Engine and Railroads Online, it's definitely changed the way it looks. But as of right now, I think I will leave you with it, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.